Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Today is April 29th and I thought I would do my April update. But before we begin, I want to start with I was the very lucky winner of Emily's giveaway. She is Eclectic Possessions here on Flosstube. And I tell you, she is fabulous. She went above and beyond. I'll show you the pattern that she was giving away. It's called Save the Bees by Lila's Studio. Beautiful pattern. And she also included the fabric, which is a 32 count to stitch it on. She included this wonderful tea. Look how pretty it is. It's almost too pretty to drink, but I will now that I've shown it to you. Can't wait to try that. A sweet little note with in the card. And not one, but 4 fantastic needle minders. And I'll start with the Halloween. How cute is that? That's going on some of my Halloween projects. Okay, and then we have the tarot card. I picked the Fool. I love him. And this fantastic clock. Very cool. And then this one's been hanging out in my forest, buzzing around. So very nice. Thank you, Emily. I am over the moon happy. This is what I store my needle minders in when I'm not using them. It's a tin that I got antiquing in England. Vintage Jacob's Biscuits tin. Love that. May have to upgrade to something bigger soon because I'm getting quite the little stash of needle minders. Okay, what else do I have? Let me set this aside. I will start with my 1803 Judith Townsend sampler. The last time you saw it, I had just started this motif at the top here, and I've completed those 2 and started down here. This one is stitched on 28 count Jobelin with DMC. I think last time I said I was stitching 2 over 2, but I'm actually stitching 1 over 2. So I'm happy with the progress on that. It's been a fun stitch. And just to remind you what that will look like when it's finished, it's by Handwork Samplers. And this is what the finished piece will look like. The next in line is my Black Willow Farm, which I still have not found the original pattern for it, and I'm missing the pattern for my Old Witch Mary, and I have a feeling my prankster son has hidden them away somewhere and he's just waiting for me to ask him where they are, and then he'll give me a clue and then I'll go searching, and he's constantly hiding things on me, and I think that I'm losing my mind, but then I find out it's him. But this is where I've gotten on Black Willow Farm. It's by Carriage Samplings. I'm stitching this one on 36 count linen with DMC 1 over 2. And last time you saw it, I had done the outer frame and I was working down here. So I nearly have a finish on this one. I have to put the leaves on the tree on this side, finish the tree and the leaves on the other side, and we'll have a finish. Then my next one, my forest, has been growing. Let's see if I can haul this bad boy up here. The last time you saw it, I had stitched like this portion and a few down here. But right now, I currently have 30 9 trees stitched, 18 birds, 2 bunnies, a deer, a mouse, and this freaky little animal right here. It has a tail like a squirrel, but it has ears like a bunny. So is it a bunny or is it a squirrel? I think we're gonna call him a squib bunny. So that's where I am on this one. I have loved stitching on this one, and I have managed to keep up with at least a tree a day, or an animal or bird a day. And just a reminder, this is what, get the glare off of it, this is what it will look like when it's finished. I am currently working up in this area, and I started the outline of the tree in the middle. But I want to say, this is by Rosewood Manor, and this is the first piece that I've ever stitched by Rosewood Manor, and I am so impressed with her patterns. Just the layout of the patterns in the book, easy to follow, and she lists, let's see if I can show you without showing you any of the pattern. Probably not. On each page, she gives you a list of colors for that page. So you don't have to keep referring back to the giant master list, which is fantastic in my book. Okay, and that brings us to my Heaven and Earth. I managed a page finish this month, keeping up with my tracking on my little calendar. This page contained 7,200 stitches. So when you last saw it, I had finished, let's see if I can get this out of the way, sorry. I had finished this section right here. This is not as easy as it looks. This section right here. And so this month, and I just started, I had one column on page 1, so I finished this section right here. Sorry, I'm not gonna edit today. So that's where we are. And even though it's heavy and confetti, I am finding that I am enjoying it. The stress has left. It is what it is. And with each stitch, it's just a joy. Especially now that I'm seeing another house. My only complaint about this, and maybe it states it on Heaven and Earth, I keep meaning to go back and look. On the photo, and I didn't bring the photo of what it's going to look like when it's finished, sorry. On the photo, it's like there are signs by the houses, and on the photo, you can clearly read what the sign is, but when you stitch it, it doesn't look anything like that. So maybe it says that when you stitch a mini, the detail is less, but then the photo should look like that, I would think. But anyway, okay. Old Witch Mary got next to no love this month. I think I finished this motif and I started over here, but I am just finding this fabric is very difficult to stitch on. It's very coarse, and the thickness of one thread to the next has such a huge variation, and I'm miscounting, and I usually don't have problems with that, but she's kind of gone into timeout. The other thing I want to show you, I have a new start. When my youngest daughter came over one afternoon, and I'm like, oh, I won something. She's like, what? And I pulled out the pattern and I showed her, and she's like, oh, I want that. I need that. She's getting ready to move to a new apartment. And she's like, that would look fabulous in my new place. So I had to start. I haven't gotten very far, but I have started and I'm loving it. So that will be, she's moving in August. I'm hoping I can have it done and framed and give it to her as a housewarming gift. Okay, I have a little tool tip for you. I always make a working copy. Well, most of the time I make a working copy. And I use either highlighters or colored pencils to mark off my chart. But there are some situations where I don't, maybe the design isn't big and I just want, I don't want to be bothered with making a photocopy, but I want to keep my place. And I've had these in my toolbox for a long, long time. They're called highlighter guides. And I'm trying to see who they're made by. Doesn't say. Oh, yes, it's by Yarn Tree. And you can find them on 123 Stitch. They're like $2 and some change. And you get 3 highlighter guides. A yellow, an orange, and a green. And you just, let me see if I can show you. If you wanted to highlight on your pattern, how I use it is I just put it at the bottom of the row that I'm stitching and then just move it either up or down as I go. But they're static, so they hold on. You don't need a magnetic board. But they remind me of back in the day. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can still buy them in like a Walmart or an office supply store. The report covers that you used to get and use when you were in school. And you could just cut it any size you wanted. And it's the same material. It's plastic. So that's just another little tip. I'll show you again, another little tool tip. They work really well. Like I said, you can highlight an area. And even, I find that I even use them when I highlight the stitches that I want to stitch. If there's a lot in one area and you know you're going back and forth between the pattern and your fabric and you look back over and you're like, where was I use it for that as well, just to kind of keep my place. The last thing that I have, I thought I would do kind of a throwback in a few of my videos and show you some of the stitches that I have done in days gone by. The first one I'm going to show you, I didn't stitch. My ex-husband stitched it, but it's a set. He stitched one, I stitched the other, and these patterns are from 1988. We had high hopes of purchasing a Victorian home back when we lived in New Hampshire, and in plans to do that we were going to stitch some pieces to put in that home. We ended up buying a different home and they still looked nice in our home, but anyway, here we go. This one is called the Little Aviator, and it was out of the January-February 1988 Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine. And he stitched this one, adorable little boy. I think we probably stitched these in 1992 time frame. The frames have gotten, the last move that I made, the packers did not pack things properly, and the frames got all dented up and I just haven't had a chance to reframe them. This is the one that I stitched, the little girl, and this one is called Tea Time. And yeah, it's on Ada. I can't remember what count we did. But there we go. And I do still have the patterns from them. The little boy was in the January-February 1988 magazine, and the little girl, I think the little girl came, ouch, came earlier, maybe in 87 time frame, late 87. Unfortunately, I tore these out of the magazine, which I've decided, well, I decided this long ago, but I will never tear patterns from a magazine ever again, because not all magazines have the information on them. And while I was digging through my stash to find these, I was looking at them, and I have to show you on the little aviator. Look at this little bunny. He is so cute. Weird but cute. And I do have the pattern for this attached to this, just by luck. But, you know, I went through all my magazines and I ripped things out that I wanted to stitch, had stitched, thought that I might want to stitch. But after stitching for almost 30 years, I have discovered my taste changed greatly. And I probably gave away, or most likely threw away, patterns that I would now like. Back when I did it, I thought, oh, I'll never stitch that. That's not my style. But now I think, oh my gosh, and I've ended up repurchasing some of the old magazines that I used to have because I did this. I did it for what I thought was a good reason at the time. My husband was in the military, and when they move you from one location to the next, you have a weight allowance of what they will pay for in the shipment, your household goods. And I was a long-time subscriber to this magazine, and we just had stacks and stacks. So we went through them and tried to eliminate some of the weight of the paper by pulling out the patterns that we wanted. But I'm not going to do that anymore. I've actually gone to quite a few digital subscriptions, but the magazines that I do buy on the newsstand, I'm gonna keep them intact, because in 10 years, who knows what I will want to stitch. So that's just another little tip, that don't be so quick to discard the ones you think you won't ever stitch, because you never know. Anyway, I had one more thing. I tried my hand yesterday at dyeing my own fabric. I've tea dyed and coffee dyed fabric before, but I'd never used the RIT dye to dye fabric. And I thought, well, what better time than getting ready for Stitch Mania. I was going through and serging, making sure that all my fabric was serged. And I thought, I didn't like the fabric that I picked out for this particular pattern, which is the Notforgotten. And so I dyed my own, and I wanted it to look like, kind of like a tombstone color. And I used pearl gray and tan. And just quickly, I first took the pearl gray and I just dabbed, well, I wet the fabric, took the pearl gray, got a wet paper towel, dabbed it on the fabric, and then let that dry completely. I did that a few times, just dabbing it around in certain spots. Then I added some tan dye to the pearl gray, and then I just re-wet this and submerged it into the tan, and then I put it in the oven for a little while because I was anxious to have it dry. You can air dry it, or you can put it in the oven or the microwave, I suppose. And then I just used a hot iron and ironed it, and that's how it turned out. So I'm anxious to start my Not Forgotten on one of my Stitch Mania days. So it was really easy. It was easier than I thought it would be, and it was interesting to see what would happen. I knew that I didn't want to just dunk it down in because I wasn't sure how to get that mottled variation in it, and I thought, well, I'll just put splotches of gray on it first and then do the tan and the tan and gray mix. So that's what I did. Anyway, enough of that rambling. I hope you all have a great stitchy weekend. And for those of you who are participating in Stitch Mania, it's tomorrow. I can't wait. Actually, probably at 12:01 a.m. I'll be sitting up stitching. So I hope you have lots of fun. Thank you for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.